Welcome to the Sports Bash pre-show presented by Nicolak Paving Stones, located on Long Island in Lindenhurst. Nicolak has the broadest collection of designs of hardscape for your home. For a free consultation and to book an appointment, call 631-669-0700. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. Vinny Tickets has the day off. WizKid Vinny is with me today. Coming up on the show, we'll be joined by Wantagh High School Principal Paul Guzzone to talk about the Wantagh Warrior Memorial 5K and Fun Run, which will take place on Sunday, September 22nd. We'll also check out the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We'll have this day in sports history, and we're going to have a very special announcement about the show. Are you excited about the announcement we're going to have later today?
I'm very, very excited, and I can't wait for it.
Absolutely. So that's coming up a little bit later on in the show. By the way, for those who know me and have been watching the show and you pay attention to things I do, you know that I don't normally dress like this with a shirt and tie. And there's a good reason and an unfortunate reason that I'm dressed like this, because right after the show, unfortunately, I'll be going to a funeral, and I wanted to make a quick note of it because of the impact that this person had on my life. Growing up in Forest Hills before moving to Long Island, one of my good friends back then, his name is Matthew Brunschweiger. We went to school together, and his father, Alan Brunschweiger, was one of my Little League coaches growing up in Queens. My dad will always be my favorite Little League coach, but Alan Brunschweiger was another great. He loved baseball, and unfortunately, we got the news yesterday after an illness. He has passed away. So deepest condolences to my friend Matthew and his family. They have been family friends for a very, very long time, and just an incredible man, terrific baseball coach. I learned a lot from him playing Little League. So rest in peace. We will definitely miss you. So I'll be going to that with my wife after the show to that funeral. So I just wanted to make sure I made mention of that and pay tribute to a great man and a great individual. And we're going to miss you, Alan. Thank you for everything that you did for your family and for everybody else that you touched in your life. On to a brighter subject, and I know we talk a lot of sports on the show, but and Vinny will attest to this, the smile on my face when I saw this on my phone when I came into the studio is that obviously Billy Joel recently ended his residency at Madison Square Garden, and some people said, oh, he's not going to perform anymore. He never said he wasn't going to perform, even when he announced the end of the residency. And we had Mike Del Giudice on the show, one of his band members, like he's not going anywhere. He's just ending the residency at Madison Square Garden. And if you'll remember, last New Year's Eve, he played UBS Arena for the first time. And you remember he played, throughout his career, played Nassau Coliseum here on Long Island, his home, so many times. And then he played for the first time New Year's Eve at UBS Arena last year. And I was very, very honored and privileged to be there with my family last New Year's Eve. And it was announced this morning that Billy Joel will be back at UBS Arena this coming New Year's Eve, obviously December 31st. And I know you saw the smile on my face, so you know how badly now I would like to be back at UBS Arena on New Year's Eve.
I think you might make this a tradition. I'm sure you'd probably be in favor of that.
Oh, I would think, yeah. See, now that he's not doing the residency at Madison Square Garden anymore, it frees him up. Now, what I'd really like to see him do, again, UBS Arena is great. If he wants to do that every New Year's Eve and celebrate New Year's Eve with everybody on Long Island, or at least 18,000 people on Long Island, what I'd like to see him do is do what he's been doing around the country, and that's going to some baseball and football stadiums. And if you remember, we had Art Stapleton, Giants beat writer, on the show not long ago, and he kind of gave this little hint that maybe next summer he's going to play MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. I'd love to see him play Citi Field or Yankee Stadium. He's been doing these stadium shows around the country, and here in New York, he was always tied down by the residency at the Garden once a month. Didn't really leave much room for him to do much of anything else. But now that he's freed up, and by the way, it's not completely ruled out that he'll ever play the Garden again. He has said that he will play the Garden again. He's just not doing it every month. But I would like to see like Citi Field or Yankee Stadium. I think that would be those would be two cool venues to see him at.
That'd be nice. I'd love to see him in like other venues outside the area too. Like I would love to see him like at Lincoln Financial Field or
I think he
Wells
played
Fargo.
Lincoln Financial Field not long ago. Maybe it was Citizens Bank Park. He definitely played one of the stadiums. But I think one of the ballparks here in New York, Citi Field, would be great. Yankees. I saw him back in the 90s at Yankee Stadium when he played at Yankee Stadium. So I think that would be great. Very excited. The Piano Man coming back to UBS Arena on New Year's Eve, December 31st. Lots more to come. We're going to join our radio audience for Sports Bash right now.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Good morning and welcome to Sports Bash, presented by Ticketbash.com, where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. By the offices of Dr. Anthony Ippolito at Chiropractic Care Plus, located at 1 John Street in Babylon. Chiropractic Care Plus is the only choice when searching for Long Island chiropractors. Give Dr. Ippolito a call at 631-669-6221. By Bearcat Billing Service, your trusted partner in medical billing. Experience the Bearcat way, personal, professional, and tailored to your needs. Give Gary a call at 516-796-2400 and tell him Sports Bash sent you. By the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. And by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more information, call them at 516-509-8277. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to be joined by the principal of Wantagh High School here on Long Island, Dr. Paul Guzzone. We'll be talking about the Wantagh Memorial 5K coming up on September 22nd. We'll have a special announcement later in the show as well. We'll also have the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, and we'll have this day in sports history. Before we get to our guest, it's time for the Sports Bash Flash. It's brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. The Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. We'll start with baseball. First up in the Bronx, Yankees and Royals tied at 3 in the 11th inning.
2-1. Jazz grounds it. Diving stop lit. Throw to the plate. Not in time. It's wide. Birdie scores. Jazz Chisholm wins the game. And the Yankees walk off the Royals 4-3-11.
Emmanuel Berbari on WFAN. Juan Soto had his 39th home run in the game. The Orioles lost, so the Yankees now increase their lead in the AL East to a game and a half over Baltimore. Tonight, the Yankees open up a series with the Red Sox in the Bronx. Now to Toronto. The Mets were being no-hit by Blue Jays pitcher Bowden Francis through 8 innings. Then Francisco Lindor led off the top of the 9th.
0-2. Hit high in the air, deep right field. Lindor swings and sends it out to tie the game and deliver heartbreak to the Blue Jays. Francisco Lindor in the 9th has tied the game up at 1, ripping the no-hitter up and putting the Mets on the board with their first hit and their first run.
I'll say it again. Francisco Lindor is your National League MVP if the Mets make the playoffs. Keith Ratt on Odyssey Mets Radio. Francisco Alvarez would cap a 6-run ninth with a 3-run homer. Mets beat the Blue Jays 6-2, and the Braves lost, so the Mets now lead Atlanta by a game for the 3rd National League wildcard spot. Mets are off today. They're at Philadelphia tomorrow. Atlantic League, the Ducks lost to High Point 7-2. WNBA tonight, the Liberty at Dallas at 8 o'clock. Now we want to get to our very special guest on the show today. There's a great event coming up here on Long Island on September 22nd. It's the Wantagh Warrior Memorial 5K and Fun Run, and it's presented by the Gary Sinise Foundation. And on the line with us to talk about it is the principal of Wantagh High School here on Long Island, Dr. Paul Guzzone. Dr. Guzzone, it's Peter. How are you?
I'm good, Peter. Thank you for having me on. I very much appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. So tell us a little bit about the event coming up on September 22nd, a little bit about the event and where the proceeds for the event will go.
Yeah, sure. So honestly, this is something that started almost like 2 years ago. I'm in my 4th year. I just finished my 4th year at Wantagh High School, and 2 years after we were out of COVID, we started a conversation about forming a 9/11 committee. We did do that, and then we connected with the Gary Sinise Foundation also around that time, and they did some really nice. This is going to be our 3rd event with them, and they've kind of really inspired us after the first 2 events to kind of get going and do more. So we had an official meeting last spring after our 9/11 trip with the Gary Sinise Foundation, where they took 100 of our students last August and said, what can we do on our own kind of type deal to get this going. And one of our teachers said, let's do a 5K. And because we're looking to make this a community event, right? It's not just a high school event. And we're looking also to bring in people from all over. And really, the goals is, 9/11 is just a huge part of American history, New York history, and Long Island history. And, as a community, based on our research, we lost about 17 individuals with ties to the Wantagh community, either on 9/11 or through a 9/11-related disease. And it was time for us to kind of raise some awareness to that as we go further and further from 2001. And we thought a 5K would be the way to do it. And what our goals are, to be honest, we started looking at how can we get our juniors down to the 9/11 museum every year. And it's pretty expensive, especially when you factor in transportation costs. Transportation is expensive. We priced it out as about $80 to $100 a student, and we looked at each other as a team, and we said, look, we can't ask any of our kids to pay that. It should be a rite of passage to go to the 9/11 museum. And we said, what can we do? So our goal was to do an event like this, raise some funds, offset the cost of the trip down to the 9/11 museum, to hopefully like $20, $25 a kid. Also establish some 9/11 related senior scholarships, as well as start a fund to create a permanent 9/11 memorial on our campus to honor those who were lost. And it's really grown. It's been, honestly, I can't tell you how much steam it's picked up. We've met a lot of our benchmarks. And we actually, we're starting to create a nice little fund, and we actually just bought 25 books for the elementary schools. The Man in the Red Bandana, but it's children appropriate. So we're looking to, with the funds that we raised, really spread awareness, achieve those goals, and who knows where this is going to go in the future.
The 9/11 Museum is a very powerful place. I was there a few years ago with my family, and whether you were alive to remember what happened on 9/11 or not, and at the time my younger son was a lot younger than he is now. Now he's in high school, and you could tell how touched he was at even a younger age about all the events and the exhibits in there. And I know you've been there before, obviously. Can you speak to what I'm trying to get across as to how powerful of a place it is and how important it is for our students to be able to go and get a look at it?
Yeah, I mean, I went last August, and it was the first time I went, and for someone who lived through it, it was just surreal, just to kind of see all artifacts that they have down there, and the museum did a nice job with providing us with some guest speakers and things like that. But on the student level, I can't even begin to tell you how moved they were. I had a chance to address my students in the auditorium there, and I shared some names of those who were lost. And when you go outside and you look at infinity pools, some of our students began to find the names of the people that I read. They went down into the museum and saw some of the faces and some of their voices, and they walked away just completely moved. And I actually have a great story real quick. I had a teacher whose daughter went on the trip with us, who's now a freshman in college. And yesterday, she came up to me and showed me a picture of a text message she was having with her daughter. And her daughter had a conversation yesterday with another student at a college who said, I'm not really sure, about 9/11, or I don't know too much about it. And her daughter, who went on the trip, was, I can't believe you don't know anything or that much about it. I went to the museum, and it was awesome. Why don't you come back home with me, and I'll take you to the museum because you need to see it. So, that's over a year later, and that's an impact that's being spread. So it's just, and it doesn't stop there.
We're talking to Dr. Paul Guzzone. He's the principal of Wantagh High School here on Long Island. The Wantagh Warrior Memorial 5K and Fun Run will take place on Sunday, September 22nd. It's presented by the Gary Sinise Foundation. How can people get involved with this? How can they sign up and register?
Yeah, sure. So, honestly, you can go on our school website. There's a link right on the Wantagh School District website for the Wantagh Memorial 5K. But also, if they just go to Google, they want to type in Wantagh Warrior Memorial 5K, it'll take them to the run sign-up. And this is a legit 5K. We're working with Race Awesome, who organizes major events. They organized the World Cup of Cricket in Eisenhower Park a couple over the summer, as well as the Long Island Marathon. So this is going to be as legit as they come.
I know before you mentioned the Wantagh community, how strong it is, and I can speak firsthand to that, living in that community, although I have to say, and I don't know if this will anger you at all, but my older son just graduated from MacArthur because we live on that side of Wantagh, and my younger son is currently going to MacArthur. So while we were in the Wantagh community, we're on the other side of the tracks.
Gotcha. Well, you guys are welcome down. Come on in. Come on over.
How's the Wantagh football team supposed to do this year?
You know, it's going to be competitive. They're looking good. We got, I think, 96 kids between the JV and varsity.
Okay.
So it's always a competitive season. We're in a new conference. We moved down with, I think, Plain Edge. So I think Seaford's going to be my hometown, actually. We're going to be battling with them and Plain Edge again, and a couple of those other Conference 4 teams. But I think we're looking pretty decent.
Awesome. Good. Well, listen, Dr. Guzzone, Dr. Paul Guzzone from Wantagh High School, the principal of Wantagh High School, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me, and best of luck with the event on September 22nd, the Wantagh Warrior Memorial 5K and Fun Run, and thanks again so much for joining us here on Sports Bash.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it so much.
Awesome. Dr. Paul Guzzone, the principal at Wantagh High School here on Long Island. And make sure you check out their Instagram page that you'll find Wantagh Warrior 5K and get more information about the event on Sunday, September 22nd. We're just getting started here on Sports Bash. Coming up after the break. Stay with us, by the way, on Facebook and YouTube for some words from the Embassy Diner and Dr. Ippolito. But coming up after the break, we'll have a special announcement. We'll have the poll question. We'll have This Day in Sports History. Lots more to come. We'll be back right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
At Chiropractic Care Plus, Dr. Anthony Ippolito has been helping Long Islanders recover from pain and injuries since 1993. Whether from auto accidents, work injuries, or everyday aches, they use proven methods to get you back to your best. Chiropractic Care Plus is located at 1 John Street, Suite 150 in Babylon, New York. Call 631-669-6221 to schedule your appointment today.
Peter Schwartz back with you on Sports Bash, presented by Ticketbash.com during our commercial break. Once again, thanks to our guest, Dr. Paul Guzzone, the principal at Wantagh High School. Whiz Kid Vinny is with me today. A little business pleasure trip, I think, for Vinny Tickets. Going to Tennessee, going to the Vols game this weekend.
Hey, he's there for his son, at least. That's what he said.
And they're playing Akron on Saturday, and I believe the point spread, what did he say the point spread was yesterday?
He's at plus 47 in favor of the Volunteers.
Yeah, now, I'm not a gambling guy, but I got to imagine Tennessee's got a pretty good shot at beating that point spread. We're coming back with more Sports Bash right now. Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by Ticketbash.com, where you'll never pay a service fee. It's Peter Schwartz. He's WizKid Vinny Laspinuso. Vinny Tickets is off today and tomorrow. And once again, we thank our guest during the first segment, Dr. Paul Guzzone, the principal at Wantagh High School here on Long Island. And once again, want to let everybody know about that great event that's coming up on September 22nd. It is the Wantagh Warrior Memorial 5K and Fun Run. Check them out on Instagram and on their website as well, and get some more information. A great event coming here to Long Island in a couple of weeks. Now it's time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We post a new poll question every weekday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. First, let's look back at yesterday's question, Wiz. Did U.S. Soccer make a good hire with Mauricio Pochettino as head coach of the U.S. men's national team that will guide the team into the 2026 World Cup? And overwhelmingly 70% of the people who responded said yes. Look, I think we could have put a milk crate on the sideline as a coach that would have done a better job than Greg Berhalter did.
Well, we need a good football manager, as they say. But, I'd say getting rid of Berhalter is the main priority. Now, let's see what they could do. Let's hope, especially with the World Cup coming to America in 2026. Can't wait.
And Coach Pochettino comes with a tremendous resume, so a good hire by the United States Soccer Federation, leading the USA into the next era of soccer in this country. Now, today's question, and Islanders training camp is going to get underway next week. By the way, couple of big events coming up. Saturday, Anders Lee and Jam Cancer in the Can are going to have an event at the Islanders practice facility at Northwell Health. It's the Anders Jam 24. So I'm not sure if there's any spots left, but go to cancerjam.com, or it's jamcancerinthecan.com or .org. I should know that because we've done an event with them before. But look them up online, see if there's any room in this event on Saturday. All the Islanders are going to be there, so it'll be a great event. And then the Islanders have their Children's Foundation golf outing on Monday, and that's kind of like the unofficial kickoff to training camp, because a couple of days later, training camp will get underway. And that brings us to today's question. Islanders open up training camp next week. So here's the question, Islanders fans and Islanders country. Do the Islanders have a playoff team this year? They went to the playoffs the last 2 years, lost to Carolina both years, and now they're back for another season. I think we'll talk more about this tomorrow, but I do feel the Islanders have a playoff roster.
Yeah, I mean, you look at also the teams in that division, too, with the Rangers, the Hurricanes. You also can't count out the Devils, too. Keep in mind, they're also New York metro area. I'd say the Islanders have at least a borderline playoff team.
No, I think the Islander roster is better this year. They made the playoffs last year, and listen, you can't discount Lou Lamoriello making a move here and there. So I'm confident going into the season the Islanders do have a playoff team. So you can go to the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page and vote for it. Yes or no. We'll have the results of that question tomorrow. And now, before we get to our special announcement, it's time for this day in sports history.
Well, on this day in 2005,
make it a good one.
Mark Messier made his announcement that he's retiring from the NHL.
Okay.
And what can I say about Mark Messier? One of the greatest players, not just NHL history, one of the greatest players to ever play hockey. You think of his
and I would just add to that. And again, it's coming from an Islanders fan too. I didn't like Mark Messier coming to the Rangers and helping them win a cup, but I respect the hell out of the guy, and without question, one of the greatest leaders and captains, not just in New York sports history, but in all of sports history.
Well, you got to remember, too, that he spent the first decade of his career with the Edmonton Oilers. So for those first 4 championship victories, and don't forget the other one against the Islanders, he was the Robin to Gretzky's Batman. And then when Gretzky went with the Kings, let's not forget, Mark Messier led the Oilers to another cup victory against the Boston Bruins in 1990. And one other thing, too, he also finished his career with the Vancouver Canucks.
He actually came back to the Rangers after the Canucks.
Well, he spent his time with the Canucks for after his time with the Rangers, and you remember that nice blue and red uniforms.
Yeah, that was a bone of contention for Ranger fans that at the time Madison Square Garden president Dave Checketts did not want to re-sign him. Checketts was more of a basketball guy back then, and I remember he irked so many Rangers fans when he said, well, how many more times do I have to pay for that one Stanley Cup? And I'm like, dude, this team went from 1940 to 1994 without winning a Stanley Cup. You bring this guy here, he wins a Stanley Cup. I mean, you don't question anything. Like this guy helped you do something that so many others failed to do in the past, and you come out with that line and you say, how many more times do I have to pay for that Stanley Cup? I mean, Mark Messier, number one, you roll out the red carpet. He's already got his number retired by the Rangers. You roll out the red carpet for the guy. You welcome him back. You sign him to whatever he wants because he brought you the Stanley Cup. The guy should never have to pay for a drink or pay for a meal ever when he's in New York City.
He shouldn't pay for a ticket. He shouldn't pay for a meal. He shouldn't pay for a hotel room. Like, the guy is a New York sports icon, regardless of sport. And it's just almost weird. You almost forget he spent time with the Canucks, but he was a Canuck also.
And people know I'm not I'm not a Rangers fan. But when I remember when Dave Checketts, and to me, Checketts, a lot of times, and I covered a lot of those Knicks and Rangers games back then, Dave Checketts to me came off many times as a bit of a fraud and a bit of an empty suit. And even again, not as a Ranger fan, but when he said that about Mark Messier, when he let Mark Messier walk out the door and go to Vancouver, it bothered me, because here's like, who are you to say how many more times do I have to pay Mark Messier? What's happened since then? What's happened since then? Have they won a cup since then? No. And again, not all his fault or any of the players' fault, but he did something that nobody else has been able to do since 1940, win a Stanley Cup with the Rangers, and that's what you say to him on the way out the door?
It's disgraceful.
And I'm not a Ranger fan, and I did that.
The team has been successful. Obviously, they've been to numerous conference finals. They've been to the Cup in 2014. But they still have not won a cup since 1994, and the reason why they won was because of Mark Messier. Plain and simple. It was very foolish on his part, but fortunately, who is fondly remembered and who is not? I think that should answer to your question.
Absolutely. Good job on this day in sports history. It is time now for our special announcement. And I teased it. People writing to me, is the show ending? Are you guys not doing the show anymore? Like, special announcement about the future of the show. Maybe that was a questionable way of teasing it yesterday on social media. No. We're not going anywhere. In fact, we're getting bigger. Starting on Monday, Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com, goes to an hour show. So starting on Monday, we're going to be on from 9 to 10 every weekday morning right here, LI News Radio, 103.9 FM. As far as streaming the show, we're going to have to ask you to stay tuned. We're still working through how you're going to be able to watch the show and engage with the show beyond 103.9 FM. So stay tuned. We'll have more announcements tomorrow and over the weekend, let you know how you'll be able to engage with the show and watch the show and listen to the show starting on Monday. But just so you know, it's now going to be a 1 hour show. Sports Bash will be 1 hour starting on Monday, 9 o'clock here on LI News Radio, 103.9 FM.
Fantastic news. Everyone that I know was very anxious for this announcement, and they are so happy because they love the setup here at MacArthur Airport, and I love what MacArthur has. And I'm not just saying that because both Sebastiano and also Jake are behind the glass right there, but I just love the atmosphere that we have. I love the setup. I also love seeing you and Vinny here. I mean, I'm so happy. This was a best case scenario for me, at least.
And many thanks to everybody at JVC Broadcasting. They have been so supportive of me and Vinny since we launched the show as a weekly show last August, and they have been nothing but supportive in what we've done, especially since we went to the daily show, and now we're going to be able to take the half an hour show we've been doing it, increase it to an hour, longer interviews, more segments on the show. It's going to be great. We're looking forward to this on Monday. But first, let us tell you about tomorrow's show. On a Friday, as we get you ready for the football weekend on a football Friday, we're going to be joined by the Athletic senior NFL insider, Diana Rossini, formerly of ESPN. She will join us on the show tomorrow, talk about the Jets, talk about the Giants, talk about everything else going on in the National Football League. That is coming up tomorrow here on Sports Bash. That will do it for this edition of the show. Sports Bash is presented by TicketBash.com and also sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, Dr. Anthony Ippolito at Chiropractic Care Plus, by Bearcat Billing Service, the Marty Lyons Foundation, and Collaborate Studios. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz, my man on the right, WizKid Vinny Laspanuso, saying that's it. Thank you for watching and listening to the show. We're back tomorrow morning.